Hello, and welcome back to another episode of It's Always Sunny in Hollywood. Although it seems today that that statement is going to be challenged a bit, since this episode's forecast calls for cloudy skies and 95% chance of meatballs. So, yeah. My name is Patrick.
I'm Red.
And I'm Lugia. God damn, very professional to be eating while we're on.
Seemed
Yeah,
appropriate given the subject matter. But
yeah,
speaking of food, you guys have a good Thanksgiving?
yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Pretty nice, pretty low key.
Got a lot of homework. Still got a lot of homework. I did not sleep.
It's
Hit me
that
like,
time of the semester.
Yeah, finals are
yeah.
coming up.
Other than Thanksgiving, I keep having to remind myself the World Cup's going on.
Oh yes, football.
I saw
You guys watch
someone
the World
break their
Cup?
monitor because their team lost.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty
Um,
funny.
I know my uncle was watching it a lot during the Thanksgiving weekend, but I haven't heard much about it since.
Other than
Yeah,
that, aside from a few posts on social media, I haven't heard anything about it. The only World Cup I really remember was the 2014 one. I don't know if
yeah,
you guys remember. It was at the end of the school year. There were like a bunch of people on like the side of the cafeteria watching and cheering.
I don't
yeah.
think I remember that.
Anyway,
It was middle school.
yeah. That does remind me though that the biggest there's some big film news that happened actually just a few days ago, and that's the 2022 Sight and Sound poll.
What?
Got made. So Sight and Sound is basically it's a thing that happens like every 10 years. But basically it's a list where they get basically like a bunch of critics and a bunch of like directors and people in the film industry, basically like the top of the field in the film industry, all those like the top people, they all vote on what's they think is the best films. So
Hmm.
yeah, this year I guess the biggest shakeup is that the number one film skyrocketed because before it was Vertigo, Citizen Kane. For a while it was just Citizen Kane, and then like the last one I believe it had Vertigo, but this year it is John Dielman, which surprised a lot of people because it was always on the list, but it was like very much in like the lower ranks, so like a sudden skyrocket to number
Hmm.
one was kind of shocking. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's every 10 every 10 years. And Citizen Kane was basically number one from 1962 to 2012, where it was replaced by Vertigo, and now John Dielman is up there.
Speaking of movies, here's the inevitable Mario movie talk. You guys see the second
Oh,
trailer?
yeah.
Yeah, it's not good.
What?
I thought it looked like one of the most generic trailers I've ever seen. Like,
Really?
yeah, it just looks
Funny
like a
is
generic
funny.
kids
It's
movie.
it's it's funny you say that because someone made an edit of the Mario movie teaser to make it look like the most generic styled teaser, and it
Like
was
I don't know.
honestly
I feel like
it was honestly funny because of how accurate it was.
like I don't know. I feel like you could replace the Mario trailer with like any sort of generic character and it kind of like fit. Like I don't know.
I mean, I get it. It's Mario. He's like the standard video game character, so I don't think there's really much you could do to branch out from there.
That's a
I guess it's
I
I
don't
guess
agree
it's
with that though because
I guess it's an origin story.
there's a billion versions of Mario that are pretty distinct while keeping it recognizable. Like all the RPGs and all the comics and you
But
know
this is going for the platform Mario that everybody knows.
yeah, so are those. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, the Mario and Luigi games that's like pretty recognizably like the same Mario from the platformer games. They don't characterize them differently, but I don't know.
Because I don't know, I haven't played any of
It's
them.
okay. I mean, it'll probably be like a fine kids movie, but I don't know. I feel like here's what I have to say. Like, it didn't take like safe, kind of boring movies to make superhero films get respected. It took like big swings from like directors like Sam Raimi and Tim Burton. I feel like if you're gonna make like a truly great video game movie that's gonna like change shit, you're gonna need to get like an actual like director that really cares about the material.
Well,
And
let me ask, do you think there has been a legitimately great video game movie?
uh, no, TV shows yes, movies no.
What about you, Lugia?
I mean, I do like the Sonic movies. I wouldn't say they're like the best thing ever,
Yeah, I
but
think they're fine, but like, that's just it. It's fine. It's just like if it wasn't Sonic, I'd think it'd be like just a solid kids film that I don't think many people would really care about that much. But because it's Sonic, it gets a little bit elevated.
I
Like
do agree with you that the TV shows are better. Like when you take shows like The Witcher and Castlevania. I've never seen The Witcher though, and I
Yeah,
do know
The
the
Witcher's more
controversy
based
surrounding
on
that.
books.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Castlevania,
Um,
that's a great example.
yeah, Arcane, that's a good one. But yeah, I'd say like the closest like to a good video game movie would maybe be like the Tomb Raider joints because those are like pretty obviously derivative of Indiana Jones, so they just kind of made like an Indiana Jones ripoff, and they kept the character pretty true to the game. So I don't know. It's a thing that satisfied general audiences and video game fans. So like that's the closest they got to, but like even that was just it was just a fine Indiana Jones knockoff, and like even among Indiana Jones knockoffs that came out around the time, like it was kind of in the shadow of the Mummy, which really took up the reins. So I don't know.
Well, regardless, I think the Mario movie looks fun.
Yeah, I think it looks fine.
I find it
Not
funny
bad.
how Luigi is the damsel in distress and not Peach.
Yeah.
So guys, they're doing Mario Kart in this movie.
They put
That
Kitty
was
Kong in there. Who
That
the fuck remembers Kitty
that
Kong?
took me off guard. The end of the trailer, they're on Rainbow Road. I'm like, whoa.
I wonder if that's like an interesting marketing stunt because I've noticed that a lot of like there's so many like YouTube videos and like nowadays where like people are like talk about Easter eggs. So I wonder if like there's some guy like a corporate exec that's like, hey guys, this is about a very popular franchise, so make sure you include references that fans would like, and just in the background or whatever. It just doesn't impact the main story. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not going to complain about the fan service, but one thing that did seem interesting is that have you guys ever read the Mario Nintendo Power comics?
No.
Peach's characterization here is kind of leaning into that because that kind of had the Peach taking much more hands-on approach, and like here it's a little bit like kind of a generic sort of 90s thing, but it's still kind of familiar. Like it seems like they're drawing a little bit inspiration from the Nintendo Power comics, so I think that might be cool. But again, feels like it kind of clipped the wings a little bit, but yeah.
Regardless, before we actually get into the movie, the only other thing I really wanted to mention is that a few days ago, actually a week ago rather, or something around that time frame. The point is, recently it was the 100th anniversary of the birth of Charles Schulz.
Ah.
November
Yeah,
26th.
actually, did you guys? There were like a ton of tribute comics. Did you see any of them?
I didn't even
no.
know that it was his 100th anniversary.
Yeah, but no, I saw basically like every single newspaper comic did a Peanuts tribute. It was
I know there were Peanuts tributes when he passed away.
no, they're like
can,
right now.
I can believe that. I can believe that.
Here, let me just actually just the Charles Schulz Museum basically just has like a list of all of them for the 100th birthday. So yeah, there's just a list of like every one. It's literally like every newspaper comic. I'm trying to find like I ain't even hear about half these names. They got a Dick Tracy one. That's insane. I didn't even know Dick Tracy was still like running. Family Circus, yeah. Even Garfield had one. So yeah. Happy birthday, Sparky.
All right, so shall we actually jump into the real meat?
Yeah.
Does it come with potatoes?
It can. You want potatoes?
You're actually making me really hungry right now.
I didn't eat breakfast.
The only thing I ate today was that one bite I had for the opening bit.
I had like a Snickers bar like at like 4 a.m. or something. So
anyway, all right, so Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. This is loosely based on the children's book of the same name by Judy and Ron Barrett. And it was the directorial debut of Clone High creators Phil Lord and Chris Miller. After this film, they would go on to make quite a name for themselves, directing the 21 Jump Street films, creating the Lego Movie franchise, getting fired from Solo, a Star Wars story, and serving as producers on Spider-Verse.
Yeah, they don't do much directing work now, but they're still pretty heavily involved in animation. Pretty groundbreaking animation, actually. I would say every single one of their animated films did something new for the medium, which is impressive because that's, rare. That's not something that happens often.
I guess this is kind of where it all started.
I'll get more into my thoughts when we talk about the animation, but go on.
Anyway, but although this was their directorial debut, it almost wasn't, because apparently they were fired in the middle of production and then got rehired again and then almost got fired again because apparently executives said they had really good ideas, but their story just wasn't there. It lacked an emotional core.
I actually saw an interview with them talking about this film.
Was it a TED Talk?
I don't know. I don't think it was. But
there was a TED Talk with one of them where they talked about their experience working on the film.
I'm confused how you almost get fired twice.
Yeah, but basically what happened is they thought it was really funny, had a bunch of great gags, but they thought it was just a bunch of gags. They thought it was like one of those like Looney Tunes movies, like the early ones that are just compilations. They're like, there's no like real through line. Basically, the producer told them that if they want to, be kept on the job, they need to find the heart of the film. And they decided the heart of the film was the father-son relationship. And Phil Lord and Chris Miller later said that that producer's advice was the most important piece of advice they've ever gotten in their career. And that heart is the key to all of their later successes.
Yeah, they took what was originally a background character, the owner of a tackle shop. They made him Flint's dad and established a father-son relationship, which, became the emotional core. So Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, released in 2009, received positive reviews, and against a budget of $100 million, it made $243 million.
Yeah, it was successful. It was a pretty big hit. We were what, 8 years old when it came out? We were in elementary school, prime demographic. Fucking everyone saw the movie. Everyone in class was talking about it. They were quoting it.
I loved this movie when I was younger. I mean, I'm jumping ahead a bit, but I remember when I was younger, one day I was homesick from school with like a stomach bug, and I told my dad I wanted to watch Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and he told me, "Is that really a good idea, considering that you have an upset stomach?" I'm like, "I want to watch the movie." And I did.
Pretty stacked cast. I did not realize how stacked this cast was. Holy shit.
I'm going to confess something. Every single main big star in this movie, I know because of this movie.
Okay,
fair enough.
Then I'll dive into it a little bit.
This is how I was introduced to Bill Hader, Anna Faris, Neil Patrick Harris,
so,
James Caan, Mr. T. This movie is where I know all of them from.
Do you mind if I talk about the actors then?
Sure.
Okay, so main character Flint Lockwood was played by Bill Hader, who at the time was hot off his SNL success. I believe he was still a cast member at the time. Anna Faris was also one of the biggest names in comedy, so they got a lot of comedic voices. Even like Neil Patrick Harris, I think How I Met Your Mother was still on the air, and he was still huge from that. Yeah. And you of course got other SNL cast members like Andy Samberg. But what really surprised me is that some of the more the non-comedians that they had, because obviously a comedy movie you're gonna get comedians. Will Forte was in here too, but they got James Caan. James Caan plays Flynn's dad, and if you don't know who James Caan is
he was also the dad in Elf.
Yeah, he's also the dad in Elf, but he's probably best known from winning an Oscar for the fucking Godfather, and Thief. Literally, he's in 3 of the greatest films of all time, and I'm like, oh, and I had no idea he played the dad. I was like,
wait, you're saying Elf is one of the greatest films of all time?
That was not one of the ones I was referring to, but
Are you telling me Elf is not one of the greatest films of all time? Are you challenging that?
Hey, listen, we might talk about it this month, so chill. I'll get into my thoughts later. But also, the mayor, and this one really threw me for a loop because I have no idea how I did not realize this, considering he's one of my favorite actors ever. But the mayor, the villain of the film, is fucking Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
I'm like, the evil Sam Raimi is my favorite director. I've seen every Bruce Campbell movie. How did I not realize this? And obviously, Officer Earl was a Mr. T. I think most people could tell that. But yeah, pretty stacked cast.
Indeed, stacked like a stack of pancakes. Haha.
And it's one of the cases where I think the celebrity voice casting wasn't cheap because they all like actually like added to the role. Obviously the comedic actors all had great comedic timing, but James Caan I think added a bit like of that gravitas to the drama that the heart was needed. So why not get one of the greatest actors ever to be the heart of the film?
Should we actually dive into this?
Yeah. If you have nothing else you want to say.
Nothing else about the production, no.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty straight into the point. So, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is about Flint Lockwood, an aspiring inventor who can't seem to invent anything actually useful. That is until he creates a machine that can turn water into food, which he accidentally causes to rocket into the sky, resulting in all sorts of food to rain down on his town, which at first is great, since his town has been living off of nothing but sardines for years. But the more food the machine makes, the bigger the food gets, until it starts to create severe weather, and it becomes a very big problem, and the world is in danger. Thus, we
Listen.
have Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Listen, I just want to say two things.
Mm-hmm.
No way in hell that talking monkey like device wouldn't have made him rich as hell. Like everyone went crazy over Coco, and she could just sign language. Like that would have. Flynn got done dirty. People didn't appreciate him. All right, and the shoes, the drip, fucking spray on Yeezys. People would have loved that.
He was ahead of his time.
I get.
Yeah.
Well, before we actually get into the movie, one thing I wanted to say: you guys remember the book at all?
I've never read the
I've
book.
never read the book.
You guys never read the book?
No.
Oh,
I remember like seeing it at the library once, and I think I flipped through it, but I didn't I don't retain anything.
It's like a 20-page picture book.
Oh yeah, okay, then yeah, I definitely read it. I just don't remember anything about it.
Nor you, Lugia?
No. I've had no experience with the book.
I also remember reading a sequel called Planet of the Pies or something.
I don't know that one, but I can speak for the first. I can speak for
the. Oh, okay, yeah, it came out in 2013. Okay, I remember hearing about it because of when the sequel came out. I remember seeing this book at Barnes and Nobles.
Well, anyway, I can speak for the original book because this and the movie, the only thing they have in common is that they're both about food falling from the sky. That is it. There is no character that is similar. In fact, the book is about a grandfather telling a bedtime story to his kids.
Ah, so Princess Bride, hell yeah.
But there's no actual main plot or character in the story he's telling them. It's just, hey, there's a town that rains food. Things kind of escalate quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Not many picture books really have that much of a plot. I don't know.
They're both entirely different beasts, aside from the main concept. The movie does throw a few nods to the book. For example, in the book, there's a restaurant without a roof. Obviously, they have in the movie. At one point in the book, pancakes rain down on top of schools, and they also make boats out of toast to escape the island. So there are a few nods here and there, but for the most part, it's kind of its own thing.
They lifted some of the visual gags.
Some of the visual references.
Okay.
Otherwise,
that kind of reminds me of Pixels then, because basically Pixels was a short film, and then it got turned into a full feature film, and obviously the short film's nothing like the movie, but they kept a lot of the same jokes that were in there. So yeah, cool.
Oh.
Well, speaking of the comedy, I think this is one of the funniest animated films ever made.
Dude, I forgot how funny this movie is. I know it was funny, but watching it again years later.
My favorite gag is when Flynn just goes fucking crazy with the snowballs, because at one point they shoot it they shoot footage of police footage of houses getting raided. I was like, what the hell? This is brutal. It's kind of hilarious, the shaky cam and stuff. I'm definitely gonna say so I mentioned earlier about the animation, how it's kind of groundbreaking. This is one of the first 3D animated films that really captured that kind of loose energeticness, that kind of squatch and stretch feel of 2D animation. Because before Pixar, they had the very they're very Disney with how they kept they kept things on model, they kept it very an illusion of life thing. But this one definitely leans much more into the more manic, Bob Clampett Looney Tunes things, where it's very loose, flowing, fast, frenetic.
It's got great energy to it.
Yeah, and that's something that I never saw in 3D animation before. And yeah, and
Movements are great. The
verbal jokes are pretty good.
expressions are fucking gold.
Honestly, I'm not too big on the character models themselves, but in motion they're great. I will agree with
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, the character designs aren't like crazy or anything, but
They're
I mean, I
pretty.
think
pretty
the dad's a pretty like kind of a standard character design now, but I fucking love that standard character design. Just the eyebrows,
yeah,
those
I think
tiny
this.
tiny little eyes.
Yeah, I love the way this movie looks. Guys, side note: don't look up "Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs" early test footage.
I'm
Worst
looking it up
mistake of my
now.
life.
I'm
Worst
looking it
mistake
up
of
You
my
now.
are
life.
making me curious now.
Worst mistake of my life. It's fucking terrifying.
But yeah,
You're actually looking it up.
yeah,
Just don't.
yeah.
I only said that for the sake of a bit.
So yeah, pretty groundbreaking. I found that this is something that I think they push in Spider-Verse, because Spider-Verse also attempts like the 2D thing in 3D, and I think this is like their first thing, because like if you actually look at the animation in Cloud to Chance and Meatballs and put it like back to back with Clone High, there's some similarities. Like
Yeah, it
I
has
definitely think they
that
took the
kind of
2D style and just
where
tried to
it's
make
more
it
focused.
3D.
Yeah, it's like more focused on the shape of the characters rather than the detail.
Yeah, and of course Lego Movie was like crazy for its realism and the detail there. But yeah, this is definitely one of those animated films that really like both leverages the comedy that can really be milked out of the medium.
One of my favorite jokes is that in the beginning of the movie, the mayor says, "I want people to look at me and say that's one big mayor." And then at the end, for the grand reopening of the town, there's a guy in the crowd who sees how big the mayor is, like literally how fat
Like
he is, and
that,
he says,
yeah.
"That is one big mayor."
Yeah, the mayor has so many good lines, and honestly, a lot of good visual gags too. Well, one like how he gets fat, like the way they animate him is just hilarious. Like it's not even like a fat joke thing. It's just kind of like creative.
He
Like
just
I'm just kind
scarfs
of like
everything
impressed by
down.
like yeah, and obviously when he's trying to like seduce Flynn to the dark side, you hear him like pop up from both sides. It's clever.
Me and Red have been doing a lot of the talking. Luke, yeah, what are your general thoughts on this movie?
So, the humor doesn't really hit as hard for me. I will say there are some funny visual jokes. I am not one for the food puns though. I'm not really one for puns to begin with, if I'm being
Oh,
real.
then you'll fucking hate the
I
sequel.
don't
There's
I don't remember much about the sequel. It's
Oh,
just
the
a blur in
sequel
my
has
memory.
so many food puns. It was brutal.
there I do not recall many puns in this movie, if I'm being real. I'm talking about this one, the first.
Yeah, there are like a few.
There's a
Not
few,
a
but like
ton.
there's a few, but they acknowledge that they're bad puns, like the hot fudge joke.
They fuse
Mhm.
them with like weather jokes too, and I think those are fine. But like when it's just
Oh,
standard
like
food puns,
the sunny side up line.
yeah,
It's just like a corny news joke. I think it's all right. Anyway, carry on.
I will agree too that without the father-son relationship that Flint has with his dad, this movie would be just nothing. It would just
Um,
be food falling from the sky, and food is now the problem.
I'd say almost. I'd say there wouldn't be a driving conflict because I'd say the whole conflict is surrounding the father and stuff, and it's kind of the tug and pull between him and the mayor who's trying to be a father figure. But I don't know. I thought even without that, like the romance is cute.
Mm-hmm.
I
I always
think
like Sam and Flint.
Sam's a fun character. We joked about how like a lot of the romantic leads in the movies we talk about here kind of suck. She wasn't one of them. You know,
Oh, she was well developed.
She was okay.
this is one of the few non-actual romance films we've seen where like I'm like, yeah. I mean, like Nightmare Before Christmas, like I love her character too, but like I don't think like the relationship was that great. That's what thought fell flat in Nightmare Before Christmas. But in this one, I think like not only is like Sam a great character, but her relationship with Flynn is really cute.
So, how did they fuck it up in the sequel?
It's just like the plot's just like generally the most predictable plot ever. Patrick remembers this because we saw the movie together, but we were the only two people in the theater because we saw in like one of its last weeks running, and we were just riffing the entire time. We were just like, oh, geez, I wonder like every single prediction we made because we made like a dozen predictions in the first like 10 minutes, and every single one came true. And most of the jokes were just the food puns. They didn't have like that same like cleverness there. The animation was really creative. Like they created a bunch of like food animals, and those were like super good. So like the animation is still like top notch in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs too.
Wait, was this the movie where there's a company called Live, and
Yeah.
spelt backwards it's evil, and they use that as a plot point?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that. That was fucking dumb.
There were like a few good jokes in like the beginning, but like I don't know. And I really I mentioned how like Sam and Flint's relationship was like super cute in the first movie. I didn't like it as much in the second one.
The big thing for me with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs too is that it kind of feels like a fan fiction because in the beginning they introduced this new character out of nowhere that's apparently really integral to Flint's character, and it just kind of comes out of nowhere. I'm like, that was not at all referenced in the first movie. It
Yeah,
kind of
Chester
rewrites his character, and I'm not really a fan of that.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt like the studio wanted a sequel, so they're just like, here.
Oh, what's funny
It's
is
not off. It's not awful. It's just pretty standard, I guess.
they got Will Forte to voice the villain in Cloud with a Chance of Meatballs 2. But what I find funny is Will Forte also voiced this random dude in the first movie.
Yeah, the guy with the beard is just. He doesn't even have a name. He's just a recurring character throughout.
No, he has a name actually. He does.
You
Yeah,
never say his
is
name.
Joe Town.
Joe Town. Joe
Wasn't he the
Town.
one who wanted to be in the Splash Zone?
Yeah. I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
I think one thing of note is obviously Earl is still pretty good in the second movie. I'd say like Earl and Brent, they're probably the standouts of the second flick, humor wise. Earl got recast.
I think
Terry Crews
Terry Crews.
plays him instead of the other guy. But yeah, everyone else stayed the same. So I don't know if there's a reason why Mr. T couldn't show up.
If you don't mind, I'm going to redirect this conversation back to the first movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. I think we're done with the sequel.
Yeah, I got nothing to say
The
about
one
this.
the one we like.
Yes, the good one.
I'm gonna call foul on something for a second though. You know how it's established that Sam has a peanut butter allergy?
Yeah.
During the brief scene where the mayor is talking to Flint about his plan to reopen the town, it's fucking raining peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Maybe she had an umbrella.
What did Flint tell Sam to do that day? Besides, he said, I have a peanut allergy.
So that's an interesting question. Like biological warfare. Maybe she has like one of those peanut allergies where if, like
She touched peanut brittle and she immediately swelled up.
Does
okay,
peanut
and yeah.
butter not count towards
Like,
that allergy?
No, it does.
And
Okay.
Flint told Sam, I also have a peanut allergy. Yeah, totally. Like, what did he say? Oh, I'm just gonna make it rain peanut butter. I'm gonna stay inside all day. You should too.
Imagine like if they start using like this as like biological warfare. Like, I'm trying to imagine like someone trying to militarize the flu.
Can we just talk about that for a second? I fucking love how the machine doesn't even have a comprehensible name.
Yeah.
They never pronounce it the same way twice.
Yeah. What I find funny is that like everyone knows what you're talking about. Like it's oddly become iconic, like despite it.
I love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah. And then you got the whatchamacallit, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, biological warfare. So I'm like, I don't know, like I'm trying to imagine like a government trying to like use this as like a super weapon where they're like besides like the tsunami stuff, just like more of like a targeted attack, like maybe like some like dictator or
Yes,
something.
The gritty reboot of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs,
Yeah.
where it's a war film.
Oh no! Now I'm
Potential
just
third
imagining,
movie? Anybody?
Now I'm just imagining that scene in Sausage Party that's straight up just like a remake of the
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving
Yes.
Private Ryan.
Or it's like
Yes,
that
the Oreo-
long
I
fight
really
scene
liked
in
that
Food
movie,
Fight, but
that was a
actually
gag,
good.
The Oreo picks up the back of his shell, like.
Yeah, I don't even like Sausage Party, but yeah.
I do.
Let's just. I think it's like whatever, but like I don't know. Of like all the food-based animated films I've seen, this is definitely the best one. That reminds me. Did we ever talk about Food Fight on here?
Yeah,
Yes, we
we did a
did.
whole episode on it.
I just want to make sure because I remembered us talking about it, but I couldn't remember if that was just like something we just did
No,
because
it
we
was
talk
it
about
was real.
shit
It
like
was
that.
real.
You're
I
welcome.
don't know why. I don't know why we talked about it, but we did.
Yeah, was that me who recommended it? That sounds
that
like
was
something
me.
I'd recommend. Oh, okay,
That
no, that
was,
was
it
you.
was good. Anyway, actually, Red, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You're a vegetarian, right?
Yes.
If you were given a burger from a machine that converted water to food, would you eat it?
I mean, I guess because like
It's not actually made from the animal, but like it's the exact same flavor and texture and ingredients and
listen,
everything. Like I'm just like watching this and I'm curious, like what would a
listen.
vegetarian do in this situation?
I'm gonna say I can eat it because I've eaten an Impossible Burger before. That's something that tastes like a kind of regular burger, but with
I'm just curious, where would the line be drawn in this scenario?
here's what the line would be drawn. I could eat the food in Cloud with a Chance of Meatballs 1. I cannot eat the food in Cloud with a Chance of Meatballs 2.
This was
Anyway,
2008, right? This movie basically
2009.
invented. Yeah, this movie basically invented the Impossible Burger because that wasn't a thing until 2011.
yes. So yeah, Flint, he was a truly revolutionary. I like how the shoe gag is like they kind of keep that detail going on, and there's actually like a little bit of detail. I don't know if you can notice this, but his like shoes are like slightly translucent, so you can like see his feet the whole movie if you like look close. So yeah, this is a fantastic comedy. You know, I found it funny. So I think the Lego movie is like one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. But like watching this, I'm like, it has like almost as much as like the same joke like density. I'm like,
I
man,
mean, both Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they have great comedic timing.
yeah, like they're generally like two of the funniest like filmmakers out there. Like I've heard like people criticize like Clone High's like animation, like they think it's good, but they think like it's a little bit generic for the time. But like even they're like, nah, that's still hilarious. Like the 21, 22 Jump Street flicks.
This was a strong start, at least,
Yeah.
feature length wise.
Yeah. One thing I do because we mentioned like Solo earlier. I find it like really funny how Disney hired them to make like a comedy, and then when they saw it, they're like, we changed our mind. We don't want a comedy, and that's why they got fired basically. Because like the final product is not a comedy. Like the
No, it's
actual
not at
Solo
all.
movie is
Not
it's
at
like
all.
a western.
Hmm. A Western that I don't remember much of, to be perfectly honest.
Just like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, a fucking blur in my mind.
It's okay. I saw it like earlier this year. Left very little impression on me. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like any of the Disney Star Wars stuff. Anyway,
Yeah, Cloud Trench Meatballs. After all these years, still pretty great.
yeah. If you like Cloud with a Chance of Meatballs, check out Clone High and the Lego Movie. Those two in particular.
And also
Is
your
it-
local burger joint. Or
Yes.
Tackle shot.
another place to eat.
And check out I don't know Clone College whenever that comes out.
Actually, this does lead to one question I want to ask you guys. This isn't a vegetarian or meat question.
Yeah.
This is just a fun question. So you know how Studio Ghibli has like an obsession with food in their films?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if they made Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
Maybe.
I kind of
Like,
want
just-
that
What if-
now.
What
Like
if either,
just the concept of like raining food. Like how would they
Actually-
do that?
there's this manga series I've been reading lately called Delicious in the Dungeon, and it's basically about like it's like a dungeon crawler thing, but it's like they're all hunting like different animals and stuff. Is like this kind of like tongue in cheek sort of cooking type of parody. I would like to see one of them tackle it because it's very funny. Like, and I think it's honestly got a bit of a sense of humor that I think like Phil Lord and Chris Miller would like. So I'd actually kind of like to see them adapt that manga into an anime. I mean, there is an anime adaptation coming out, but like, yeah, I mean, like,
I mean, with all these American remakes of Japanese films, I'd like to see a Japanese remake of this film.
Yeah.
That's the one exception I'll make. Make it happen. Somebody.
Anyway,
It is your turn, and I believe we're in Christmas Town now.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
December.
it's Christmas time, and it just so happens that I have a Christmas list in my top 10 favorite movies currently. So I figured, why the fuck not? So today we're going to be talking about a Billy Wilder. Let me pull up my list. Today we're going to be talking about the Billy Wilder classic from 1960, The Apartment, starring Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine.
The Apartment.
I think
Yes,
you've talked
it
about
is.
this movie before.
Yes,
Sounds
it's
vaguely familiar.
one of my favorites. Billy Wilder himself actually said he thinks this is his best film, or at least his best script. And yeah, I'm gonna say like this is basically a perfect script. Like I don't want to like spoil my thoughts, but I already mentioned like it's one of my favorite movies. So yeah,
It's a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is a Christmas rom-com. Takes place in New York around the holiday season.
Okay.
It's one of those things where Christmas is more like a cursory element, kind of like,
Die Hard.
Lethal Weapon or Die Hard, yeah. I went with Lethal Weapon because I do want to do the obvious one, but yeah. But yeah, you got Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, who are, I don't know if you're actually, have you seen Some Like It Hot?
I have not.
I've never heard of it.
The Odd Couple?
Nope.
I've seen a few episodes of The Odd Couple.
No, I mean the movie.
Oh, the movie? No, I've seen the old sitcom. But
Okay, then,
not the movie.
okay, you guys might not know who these actors are then. Never mind then, but you will soon like them. Anyway, yeah, The Apartment, 1960, timeless classic. It actually won Best Picture at the Oscars. I'll bet you didn't expect that. So yeah, The Apartment. You got any closing words?
That is one big podcast.